Hello and good afternoon to you, and welcome to the Midday Show. I'm Neil Long, and it's good to be here. I've had an absolutely exhausting weekend. I've been doing so much, and hopefully going to be joined by Liz on the show in just a bit. Russ can't be here; he's officiating 2 funerals today. He's a busy man, and I know how seriously he takes it. And knowing what Russ's work is like, I know it's going to be absolutely immaculate celebrancy. But he's not here, so it's me. So we've got 2 people tuned in. So we're just going to have a bit of a chilled Monday. I'm looking for time-saving tips today. Time-saving, efficiency, productivity. Because I'll be honest with you, I can be disorganized. Some people laugh at it, which is not that useful, but I suppose it's a bit funny. And I have so many kind of things I'm working on at once, and I've literally had to sit down. And most people have one diary. I've had to kind of reconcile 3 today, and this is just what one person does. So what it's like in a typical family household, because I don't have that at the moment. But it's just bloody insane. And then another part of me goes, you know what, Neil, it's probably time to slow down a bit. And then it's like, yes, but I've got stuff to do. Anyway, there we go. That's my problem, not yours. Hello, Robert Van Buren. How are you? How was your weekend? Don't know. I'm waiting for a response. I mean, verbally. Sorry, I'm not taking the mickey, Robert. Hope you're okay. Good to have you tuned in. So, today, in fact, what did I do over the weekend? Friday, I DJ'd a wedding. You're familiar with Ken if you're familiar with the Midday Show. It was his family wedding, and it was an absolute pleasure to do that. Lovely couple. I wish them well. Saturday did an all-day fundraising gig down in Hailing Island, which was fun. Oh dear, never mind RVB. My weekend was okay. The team I sponsor lost again. Well, there you go. What can I say to that without sounding ridiculously patronising? I'm not even going to bother trying. What more? Sunday. Sunday I did my first 20-minute stand-up set. Not the first one in my life, but the first one, the second time round I've done comedy, and it actually went not bad. In a room full of comedians, because open mic nights can be a bit like that. Anyway, so it's very lovely to have you tuned in. We're talking about sort of time saving. I mean, you should see me. I mean, I've got lists of lists that lead listing and categorizing in various things. There's just so much. We're also, I say we, it seems to me everyone is rushing and busy. And I've heard the term busy-hillism, and it can make some of us feel actually uncomfortable to slow down a bit. I want to talk about this a bit today. Does it make you uncomfortable to slow down? And my fear is that I'll slow down and kind of end up in a lazy funk and not do anything. Do I trust myself? The ideas I need to motivate myself to do what I need to do will be there when I need them. Is there a time just to sit down and clear your mind, if possible, of everything? Yeah, almost definitely is. Otherwise, what point meditation? I don't know. What do you think? What's your thoughts? What are your organising tips? How do you kind of organise yourselves? If it's not too personal question. So we've got different ways of doing it. I mean, I think we could all learn something. T-shirt's a bit rude. I should probably keep that off screen. Hello, Kimmy. First response. It's taken me almost a year to slow down since I told the job to shove it. Loving life. So Kimmy, it took you a year to get into a new kind of pace of life, did it? Because when I go down to Hailing Island on the coast, I notice the pace of life is slower down there. I mean, it's still got, things that need to be done, but it's a slower pace of life. It's not this frenetic rush onto the next thing, onto the next thing. Because I think if we do that too much, the enjoyment of what you're doing and any sense of achievement or really anything kind of goes a bit out the window. You're not working at all now, Kimmy. Are you enjoying not working? Are you enjoying not working for now? Do you think you might go back into the workplace or do something else? I'm just curious. What's next for you? Oh, here we go. I'm happy to have moments of doing nothing without feeling guilty now. But isn't that interesting? We're all kind of so conditioned, I think, for want of a better word, to be busy all the time. Busy. That if we're not busy for some reason, we feel bad about it. And that's bloody insane. When you think about it, whatever happened, I'm not saying laze around on the sofa all day and do nothing. Far from it. Do all the things that you want to do. Live, learn, love, study, or whatever. But is it really necessary to put the stress factor into it? That's what I'm asking you, I guess. I don't know. Asa Don Brown, good day. It's always a sincere pleasure to join you and each person in this lovely community. Well, it's lovely to have you here as well, Dr. Asa. I'd be very, very interested in your thoughts on this. What do you say to people for it? Would you call it busy holism? I don't know. Because you see everybody rushing around, get it done. But you don't see a particular joy in people, do you? Do you know what I mean? And that's interesting. I know some things are difficult in life and it's not all sunshine and lollipops and rainbows, but surely there's got to be a time to slow down and smell the roses. I don't know. I don't know. And yeah, this is one list of to do. That's another list there. And I've just integrated, linked all the bloody lists. And I've got editing work to do this afternoon after the show. And it's just kind of on and on. I don't know. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. That's not what I'm fishing for. I think it's a discussion that I seek. So put your comments on. What do you think? What do you really think? I experienced burnout at one point. That's not fun. And that's just like mental and physical absolute exhaustion. And actually, Kimmy, I felt guilty for experiencing it. Given what I thought was causing it, I judged myself that wasn't enough to make me behave in that way. Clearly it was. Sorry about that. Kimmy says, my thing is you've got to have a purpose. It's dancing, having dancing lessons, but work got in the way. So I've taken early retirement. I appreciate I'm lucky, but I don't miss work and I don't miss the money. I recommend it. Well, that's great. Absolutely right about purpose, I would say. We all need to feel that we got a purpose, that we're of value. Yeah. Sorry, just making sure the phone doesn't ring again. Yeah, something to definitely get us out of bed in the morning. Ace Don Brown. Sorry, Fat Scotty. Longie, I look for one end in mind, the vital few items I need to achieve it. Oh, this is good. I'll hit the quick wins for the feel-good factor. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's really good. Prioritize ones I know I can influence, but I don't stress over it. Asa Don Brown, I love my downtime, but I honestly don't take enough downtime. I do take time each day for breathing and meditation, but not enough time away from the devices and my work. Life has a way of keeping us busy. It really does. And in some ways, I'm not saying, being busy is always bad. I'm not like talking in extremes. It's got to be either this or that. That there's kind of room for balance in it all, but maybe finding that balance is the important thing. I think you've got to have a purpose is dancing. What kind of dancing are you learning, Kimmy? Because dancing is a wonderful thing to do. Dancing is a very joyful thing to do. And good for you. Good for you. I really hope you're enjoying it. You deserve it. Longie, I look for one end in mind. I really like this, and I've had this on before. The vital few items I need to achieve. I'll hit the quick wins for the feel-good factor, Let's break this down. Prioritize ones I know I can influence, but I don't stress over it. That sounds like an absolutely brilliant system, Scotty. That sounds like an absolutely brilliant system. Any more thoughts and comments? I'm hoping Liz is going to join us today. Be nice to have her on. I know she was. Yeah, it's all about balance and priorities. But you see, there we go. I don't linger on negatives. Hence why I left the station I was working for, as it wasn't enriching my life anymore. Sometimes you need to leave something you love doing for you to appreciate it. Do you mean in the sense appreciate what you had, but you didn't appreciate it at the time? Or do you mean you just love radio, but that particular radio wasn't fulfilling you? So you went somewhere else and did something else, but still what you loved. I think that's right. I think if something, there does come a point when you have to honestly ask yourself, is this enriching my life anymore? Is this good for me? Is this good for my mind? Is it good for my body? Is it good for my heart? Good for my soul? You know, whatever. Is it? And there can be difficult questions to ask, particularly when we've got responsibilities. We've got things to do. We got, people have kids to raise. I mean, the amount of things that people juggle nowadays, and solving problems, managing expectations, it's hard. And of course, people say, well, yeah, I can't have the luxury of that. I need to earn money, and I'm not denying that. I'm not saying people shouldn't have a job. I suppose it'd be nice to have a job that you loved, and I know many people that do that. They've got an absolute gift or a talent, and they're pretty good, and they're putting it out in the world and doing really well at it. And why not? That's a wonderful thing to be doing, I believe. So how do you find that elusive balance, though, Asa Don Brown? How do you find that balance? How do you prioritize? How long do you meditate for each day? So, getting everyone's tips. Anyone else practice meditation as well? Again, I should, but I don't have time for it, which is an irony, because I shouldn't have time not to do it, if you know what I mean. I should exercise every day, meditate every day. That's the absolute bare minimum, but I rush and start doing all kinds of things. And then the next thing you know, the day's gone. And it's like, what did I achieve today? And I think that comes back to what Fat Scotty says, because if you're going for the quick wins, for the feel-good factor, because that is important. But if you're rushing around like a blue-ass fly all day and not really feeling it, it's just like putting out one fire after another, after another, after another. It's not that hard to get to the end of the day and go, did I actually achieve anything today? What was the point of this day? What did I achieve? Did I enjoy the day? What did this day bring to my life? And turn around the other way, what did I bring to the world this day? Probably just a load of stress. I don't know. I don't know if I'm opening up a can of worms asking questions like this, but maybe it's a subject worth discussing. I appreciate your comments. Keep them coming in. Do please keep them coming in. I think Liz may be joining us. And if not, we just talk about your comments. But when I burnt out, it was a pure physical and mental exhaustion. I literally felt it in my body, and I couldn't think straight. Brain fog. Getting up to make a cup of tea seemed like an epic act, where before I thought I could take on the world. Lost my mojo, I suppose they say. Appreciate the love for radio. I wasn't loving it as I should. I left a couple of weeks ago. It hurt, but a weight has been lifted, been offered a new gig, and now I feel the love again. Well, that's great, because radio, jobs in radio, or paid jobs anyway, are as rare as hen's teeth nowadays. Where's the new station, Scott? And you must come and present some more on here, actually. In fact, you can present with me today if you want to have more than an active than the listening role. I'll send you the link if you like. Just probably get us in the chat window, and we can present today, seeing as you love radio so much. You can come and do this with me, unless you'd rather be a spectator today. But it's up to you. Send me the link, please. Right, I will do exactly that. Are we on Facebook? Let's have a quick look. I do all my own social media. Not many people do their own social media live when they're on the show. Where are you? Are you actually Fat Scotty on Facebook? Or do I have your email address? Where did we communicate before? Can you remind me? Sorry, I can't remember where I've got you. And this is the other thing I was saying to my girlfriend. We got telephone, and we've got Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and email. Email, okay. All right, let's send in the link, and these all they're all going all the time, and trying to keep up with all of that. It's so easy to like double book yourself or forget you said you're going to do something. And I've made a couple of potentially epic, I mean, not like, I mean, no one died, but I haven't got your email address, Scotty. I thought I did. Can we pop it in? Can you pop it in the? Do you have the private chat up? No. I tell you what I'll do, Scotty. I think I'm on safe ground doing this here. I will pop the link in the comments, so you can see it. I trust you. And if people try to get in and they shouldn't, then I just won't let them in. I have the power. Oh, Kimmy, thank you so much. Yeah, maybe I was having a bit of a weird day today. Talk about mental health a bit on this show. I don't know. From time to time, that you just feel a bit meh, a bit under the weather, a bit kind of, I don't know. And I don't want to sound whingy. That's the thing. I'm not moaning. Kimmy says the phase you seem to be in right now, IMHO, in my humble opinion, is building foundation with your stand-up, having a steady job in radio, keeping busy with an understanding of your vibes. What do you mean by that of your vibes? Do you mean it as I would mean that? I admire you. It's all necessary for you right now and admirable. That's a lovely thing to say, Kimmy. What a kind thing to say. Thank you so much. I need a bit of love today. I'm having a bit of a weird day. How are you, Liz?
I'm not too bad. It's been quite busy. I'm sure there's a lot of love around. And I always send you lots of love, so you can add that to the pile. Why are you having a weird day? I'm sure you've just said to everybody, but...
I don't know. It's just one of those weird stuff comes up, just feel a bit weird, feel a bit kind of discombobulated. Just a bit. It's been a busy weekend, I have to say.
Yes, you were down inhaling, weren't you?
I was, yeah. And it's like the more you need to slow down, sometimes the mind screams down, no, speed up. Like,
and you know what I always say? Any which way but stop.
Every which way but stop. And you've said that to me for years, and you're absolutely right.
And the other thing I always say to you is it's allowed. So if you're having a bit of a meh day, it's allowed. It is allowed. Of course it's allowed. You're only human, and that's allowed too.
Thank you. Reassuring words. So we're discussing kind of Scotty's going to join us as well. Fat Scotty. I'll pop the link in the chat. So we have the three of us today.
Excellent.
Kimmy, you know your limits. The weather is miserable and the prospect of winter gives the blues. Everything will be okay eventually. There we go.
Oh, yes.
That's Kimmy, who told her job to shove it and is now taking dancing classes. I'm always like that. I'm always.
Kimmy has a competition coming up. I think it's this coming Sunday, isn't it, Kimmy? So good luck with that.
Well, good luck, Kimmy. Let us know how that goes, sweetheart. We want to know.
Oh, yeah.
How was your weekend?
Well, I was working and it was quite busy because one of the places where I read the news for the BBC is 3 counties, which takes in Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and Buckinghamshire. Bedfordshire is basically underwater. So that was quite interesting trying to get around, including trying to get to work as well. Hello, Asa Don Brown, who just says... good day, Liz. Kimmy, who says at Reading on Sunday. Thanks, Liz. Excellent. We wish you all the luck in the world with that. I shall come to Asa Don Brown's other message in just a moment. The thing I always find quite interesting is BBC local radio comes into its own when you have sort of large weather events, as I'm sure you have at Radio Jackie when there's sort of local natural disasters, as it were. Is that people will? It's the one time. It's one of the major occasions that people tune into their local radio station because they want to get very specific local information about what road is closed and what things have happened and
Very much so.
people who
Very
were
much.
affected by it. So the whole weekend was spent sort of updating the good people of Bedfordshire and indeed parts of Hertfordshire, because the River Purwell, which is in Hitchin, burst its banks, and a few dozen people had to be evacuated from their homes as well. So they spent a fairly miserable weekend. And
Goodness me.
mm,
Yeah, I think it's at times like that local radio really steps into its own. I remember
yes.
during the pandemic. Hello, Scotty.
Hello.
He looks like he's pulling his trousers up while he's logging in.
Yeah, we'll have none of that on this show, young man.
Probably a very good t-shirt.
Oh gosh, do you mean to say I've now got two boys to contend with for 40 minutes, honestly?
Yes.
I'm afraid so, but we'll be on our best behaviour.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we will. So yeah, welcome to the show, Scotty. We're just talking about, I don't know, burnout, time management. I love what you said. Let me just pop a comment up from to pop you up here. It's only rude to make myself disappear with the comments. Not to make myself disappear, rather. Oh, hang on there. See, I'm not thinking straight. It's rude to block you out. That's what I'm trying to say. Asa Brown, it's absolutely difficult in the times that we're in. You're so right, Asa. I love my work, and it's clear to me when you're on the show, you're passionate about your work and brilliant at it, if I may say. Spending time with my family and my own academic pursuits, but sometimes we neglect our own needs. Again, it's about balance. Truthfully, my meditation and breathing time varies, but most days I spend anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. I mean, that's more than I do. In addition to my intentional meditation, I practice meditation and breathing on the go. I spend a few minutes here and there throughout the day, spending micro minutes and seconds practicing breathing, I think he's going to say. I loved what you said, Scotty. This was a really good little formula for well-being. And that's the wrong comment. That's not it. Hold on. Here we go. I look for one end in mind, the few items I need to achieve. I'll hit the quick wins for the feel-good factor and prioritize ones I know I can influence, but I don't stress over it. Discuss. I like that.
I've worked for an American company, and they've got a very good business philosophy that breaks down and simplifies how people should work, and it's all about being self-managed. So in the natural scheme of things, we all have a manager or a team leader. We all have to be managed or looked after during the day, but the majority of the work is all about the self-management. So they trust you to do the job you're employed to do. If you need help, you ask for it. But the most important thing is to make sure that the workload that you're taking on isn't going to consume you. So by deciding what's the end in mind, what's the end goal, what are you trying to achieve at the end of all of the work that you're doing? So I can either have one big end in mind, which is a huge project, or you get sort of smaller ends in mind throughout the various stages of work. Then what I tend to do is then break it down. What are the vital few elements that I need to achieve to reach the end in mind, whether it's the smaller one or the large project. I take the quick wins because they're the ones that make me feel you're automatically going to feel and naturally feel good about yourself because you've cracked something. That's going to give you a massive, massive hit. Then I look at the next ones down and prioritize the items that I can't do straight away or I can't get the quick win, but I know I can influence the lion's share of that particular portion. Anything else I can't deal with, either because I don't have the expertise or I haven't got the time or I haven't got the knowledge or the support, I'll park it. And over many, many years, and you'll know yourself, both you working in radio, you're under so much pressure at times to get stuff done.
No, totally.
And this is what I was saying about, leaving the station I was working to recently, is that the quality of the product has been diluted because I was doing far too much and far too much more was being expected, rightly or wrongly, being, volunteer led to the majority. But then I wasn't feeling it anymore and I wasn't enjoying it. And my wife could tell I wasn't enjoying it. And it just came to a head one day and I just said, you know what, I don't need this anymore. It's not enriching my life. It's not making me happy. One of the very few things that I do for myself isn't making me happy. I'm not enjoying it. The product I don't think is the best it can be. So I now need to knock it on the head. And it's the one radio, you'll know what it's like working in radio. There's days where they're really great days and you love it to bits, and there's other days where you could just, hide in the corner and just think, well, why am I doing this? Why do I subject myself to this?
But I think we're always very hard on ourselves in radio. Most performers I know are. And I've got a philosophy that it's 90% psychological, and it's just, again, being kind to yourself on the days when you feel a bit down. We're not machines, you know what I mean? I mean, I talk a lot about flow states. When we're in flow, everything is just magical. It's ecstasy. It feels like ecstasy, and doing things like, or any pursuit, be it radio, raising kids, or making love, is amazing in flow state. It really, really is. But when you're out of your flow, and it's like an effort. And I don't think it's selfish to want to be happy. It's you could call it a selfishness paradox. If you're, I put it in parentheses, selfish enough to do what makes you happy, generally that's better for the world and the people around you.
This is it. And by definition as well, that if you are the sort of person that's predisposed to helping other people.
Easy for you to say.
Quite.
Sorry.
I've been talking all morning, and bulletins every half an hour, speaking of deadline. So if you're the sort of person who likes to help others, who finds it difficult to say no, the thing is, you need to not say no to yourself, because unless you look after yourself and have that self-care, then you can't help anyone else,
Correct. I agree with that. And no is a very powerful word. People think no is a very, very negative word. And in most cases it is. But no can be a very positive thing to say to someone. You're managing expectations, you self-preservation, you're not putting yourself under as much pressure as people expect you to. And at the end of it all, it's only radio. As long as nobody, as long as you don't lose hundreds of thousands of pounds and nobody dies or gets hurt, that's the most important thing to me. If we're not enjoying what we're doing, whether you're a bus driver, whether you're working in a supermarket stacking shelves, whether you work on the bin lorries, or whether you're the Prime Minister, if you're not enjoying it, you know what to do.
Quite.
If you're not enjoying it, you're probably, even if it's a job where you would seem to be of service to others, all the ones you mentioned, from the bin men to the Prime Minister, if you're not enjoying it, you're probably not being as good a service as you can. You're probably doing more of a service to the world by loving what you do and doing what you love. And people seem to be, and there's scientific studies out now that proving that happiness leads to success, not the other way round. Not the other way around. We think that success leads to happiness. It doesn't. Happiness leads to more successful outcomes. It's that way around. And I think most of the world has got that on its head. Why wouldn't we have? We've been conditioned since we came out of the womb to believe that, for goodness sake. And there's some quite enlightened teachers around the world and scientists going, actually, no, it's the other way around. It's not.
Here's a good analogy from Asa Don Brown, which is put up on the screen. Scotty, I wholeheartedly agree. We must recognise our limitations and behaviours. Our unconscious is like a vehicle's dashboard, and it brings our attention to our needs.
Now that's interesting, because there's a call I go to once a week, and it's like a personal development call. And the teacher there says anything that shows up in your life is, if you like, life trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
It's flagging something up that you need to look at. The phrase my teacher uses, I say my teacher, it sounds very pretentious. It's not. It really is. No, it isn't though. It isn't like that at all. He's a wonderful guy. He says it's.
Is this Nick Bro?
Nick Bro. Yeah, nickbro.com, BREAU, if you want to check it out. I think he's wonderful. Him and his lovely partner, Anik. And he says so I lost the train of thought for a second. It's stuff coming up that where you're giving your power away. Where you're giving your power away. It's showing you at some way, in some level, there's a block to your usable power here. What is that? What is that? What is that block? And then he has various tools and processes for releasing those blocks. And then I've seen it done. It's like a Zoom call, and I've seen I've seen years fall off people. It's like a weight is lifted from their shoulders with just a few minutes of psychological work and probing questions. It's quite extraordinary. Quite, it really is. Kimmy, when you're a toddler and say no, you're discouraged and it all goes downhill from then on. Yeah.
That's the innocence of children, though. It's like, do you want peas for dinner? No. Well, you must eat your peas.
There's a great song which I recommend for recovering people pleasers by Meghan Trainor.
Yes.
Do you know this one, Scotty? It's called No. Have you heard this one?
Oh,
Yeah.
You familiar with it?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
It's a great song. It sounds like a Destiny's Child song. No, my name is No. My number is No. No, no, no. Yeah, it's a really great song, and I recommend that be the anthem for all recovering people pleasers everywhere.
There's a song for everything. You mentioned about live the life that makes you happy. There's a live the life you love is a song as well, which is and love the one you're with. I think the lyrics go. That's another one.
Love the one you're with. I know
that's
that one.
It.
What's live the life you love? Is that Jason Mraz? Is that look?
No. I think that's part of the same song you just sang.
What? Love the one you're with. That one.
Yeah.
It was Luther Vandross, was it? Love the one you with.
Oh, I don't know.
Now
I feel
we're
like it
thinking.
I feel like it should be. I feel like it should.
I've got no playout system to check. I've just left.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So
Hello, Robert Van Buren, who said hi, Liz. Just wanted to get around to that comment.
So what should we discuss now, folks? We've got 29 minutes. What should we put everyone straight on now?
I'll tell you something interesting we were discussing this morning, and it's just gone out my head, which is really helpful. That's what happens when you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work and impart the news to the world. Basically, I mentioned earlier about flooding and things like that, and it's the one thing that people it's an appointment to listen, as it's called, because people want to find out if they can get out and about, if they can go about their daily lives and things like that. There has been a lot of flooding and a lot more rain, so if you are out and about today, there's still a lot of rather large puzzles and puddles, so be a bit careful. So that's what I wanted to say on that point. There's an interesting bit of legislation coming into being tomorrow from midnight tonight, so a minute past midnight, and it basically says if you keep chickens outdoors, whether as a farmer or for a pet, because people do, you have to register them by midnight tonight, otherwise you could be fined £5,000. Now, it's quite a random thing. There are people in urban areas who do keep chickens as pets in their back gardens. My next door neighbour's got a giant rabbit that roams around, and that's quite funny as well. Roams around in their back garden. It's quite entertaining, and fortunately, it's managed to evade the fox that likes to eat its kill of pigeons in my back garden, which is very nice at the moment.
So once you've registered your chickens, Liz, are they chipped? Are they tagged? How do you know if a chicken's
Chicken and chips?
registered?
Oh no! Well, don't you start, because when I was reading out about this and playing a clip about the information of what you have to do, the presenter turned around, or I turned around to the presenter and I said, he was sort of nodding and going, "Oh, well, this is quite interesting." I said, "Well, actually, it's foul play," and he was like, "Oh no!" And then there was what was the other thing? Yes, all sorts of bad chicken jokes, basically. Yes, it's for bird flu reasons.
Now, it's interesting because this new legislation comes in and people don't know about it. It's not particularly well marketed, for want of a better word. We're just kind of exposed to know the new legislation, and people can be...
and now everyone's getting into a flap.
I'll wing it. Don't worry about it.
Right. That's it. I'm sorry. I've had enough. I'm not having that.
Oh, so you accepted his dodgy jokes, but not mine. How rude.
That's a good point, though. All these legislation that keeps being brought in, and you're always the last people to know when this happens, and then all of a sudden, people that genuinely do get in a flap, no pun intended, and then they try and register everything on. If you've got to do it online, I suppose. Then
Yes,
the
you can
website.
register it online. I mean, but also I take your point. Is how would you register it? Because if you're a farmer, presumably you'd have a load of paperwork anyway. But if it's a private thing, I mean, what do? Do you go online? Do you have to say I've got a chicken called Mabel or something? You know.
So, but does the duty of care then pass when the chicken expires and becomes lunch? Are you then legally responsible when you bought the chicken in your supermarket for making sure that you register the dead chicken that you're about to eat, that the chicken is now taken off the register?
Does it have to be
No,
dead
no,
certificate
it's
for
only
chickens
it's
now?
only live ones, not dead ones. It's
So
the
what
ones that
happens-
are alive and kept as pets. It's
So
all
what-
fun.
so
You
what
see,
happens when he
I'm not the only one here.
Oh, don't you start, Asa Don Brown. Don't you start.
But genuinely, what happens then when the chicken expires? Do you have to deregister the chicken to say that the chicken no longer exists?
Yes, I would presume so, because otherwise they'll keep expecting you to give updates on it. But
Chicken
then we
watch.
go, but we're so I feel like we're slightly going down the realms of Monty Python territory now about
And
expired birds.
if you disobey the law, you'll get in trouble, and then all your chickens will come home to roost.
Oh God! You see that? Hang on.
Take him off. Good Lord,
Yeah.
that's better.
There we go. He's
I'm
not
gonna
the
keep my
only
thing
one who
down.
could do that.
I'm glad you can.
Yeah.
What is
I can do this as well.
Genuinely, hello.
Oh, that's all right.
What's the
I
genuine
always
purpose?
wanted to have two men on top.
You'd be massively disappointed at this end, I can tell you. Anyway, you wouldn't even be able to boil an egg. So bad it is.
All right, here we go. Let's just get it out of the way. An old joke. Why did the chicken cross the road? To get his old age pension. Do you get it? No, neither did he. He wasn't 65.
Oh dear.
Why
Actually,
did the pervert cross? All right, last one. Why did the pervert cross the road? Because he was stuck in the chicken. We'll leave that one there.
Actually, I was going to do a cleaner version, which is one of my favourite "Why did the chicken" jokes. Is why did the chewing gum cross the road? It was stuck to the chicken's foot.
That would probably been more tasteful than the one that I did. Yeah.
Yes. Asa Don Brown is appreciating our comedy, I think.
Michelle.
Yeah, you crack on, mate. You crack on.
Oh dear.
What's going to be next then? Because
We were only joking.
So, any other new legislation coming in? Sorry.
No, I'm going to say, do you have to pay to? Is there do you have to pay to register? Like you have to pay to have your dogs and cats chipped?
I don't know actually, but I don't know about individual pets, as it were, because as I say, there are people that keep pets as keep chickens as pets, but you do have to pay to register a dog. Farmers do have to pay and have various regulations and things they have to pay for their farms, you know, for health and welfare and things like that, and duty of care, as you mentioned. But I don't actually know. Or whether you just have to, at the moment, it's a registration thing, and you would only have to pay if you didn't register and somebody found out, you know.
Wow.
So are people going to start grassing each other up, having unregistered chickens?
Oh. I hope not.
Chickens.
Yes. I mean, that would be clucking awful.
It would.
Oh, my Lord. I don't get it. Well, I don't see what they're going to gain by registering chickens. I get it if you're registering big sort of, is it a flock of chickens, a coop of chickens? It's a collective noun for chickens. I have no idea.
I think it's is it a flock? I'm not sure.
Right,
You've got me thinking now.
I'm gonna look
Biology
this
was
up.
never my strong point.
Oh, my. I just think it's another.
He's going to find out. He's going to ask Dr. Google.
There we go. Meanwhile, on Chicken Watch here on the Midday Show.
It's a flock or a brood.
Oh, it is a flock. A brood, yes.
That was the thing I was looking for.
Or
Yeah,
if it's chicks, it's a clutch.
Oh.
I will move up a gear then.
Very good.
Yeah.
Chicken got run over. He put his foot.
What are they going to do next?
Oh dear.
Goldfish, koi carp.
Well, no,
Tarantulas?
because they just wriggle away.
Oh no,
They're slippery characters.
I don't see the point. Really, I don't. Why? Cats and dogs, yeah. Cattle, probably.
Ah.
Sheep, yeah.
You see,
Asa
I
Don
always knew
Brown.
there was somebody who appreciated my humour. Thank you, Asa Don Brown.
I tell you what, Asa Don Brown, you're easily pleased that the comedy scene can be very harsh here, particularly in London. And
Yes.
God, do
Well,
those jokes
are you
on
brave
stage.
enough to do the Pheasant Plucker song? That's the thing, Asa Don Brown. Can you do the Pheasant Plucker?
I'm so careful when I say that on air, Pheasant Plucker.
Do you know what? Actually, the thing I always there's certain words that, as a newsreader, I have to be very careful about, or I feel like I need to say them very carefully. And then, of course, you concentrate on that and trip over something relatively simple, like Joe Smith said. But one of the words that I have to say quite regularly is the Office of National Statistics.
Oh, that's hard.
Yes.
Office of
And if
National
you say it
Statistics.
quickly and miss out certain letters, that's a whole other office entirely.
It is.
I'm trying to
And
work
I
that
have
one
done
out.
that. Hey?
Trying to work that one out. Office of National
Oh,
Statistics.
sadistics, yeah. Mr.
Oh,
T and you,
statistics.
yes.
Kimmy Lashmar.
Hey!
Shame on you.
Oh, I love that one. That was
Nice
either
one,
big as
Kimmy.
Kimmy. Doc Cox from it was on That's Life with Esther Ransom. Has anybody seen
That's right.
my big Rhode
Yes.
Island red? He's mostly pink with a little bit of blue and purple on his head. He stands straight up in the morning and gives
That's
my
right.
wife a shot. Yeah,
He did that whole album, Ivor Biggin and the Red Nosed Burglars,
that's it. That's the
Oh
one.
gosh.
with the Winkers song, Misprint.
Yes.
Oh, goodness me.
Oh.
That's Life. The chap who was the reporter for years died last week. Dame Esther Ransom paid tribute to him. I'm trying to think of his name now because that's the other thing.
Chris Earl.
Chris Searle.
Yes, that's it. Chris
Earl,
Searle.
yeah.
Mm.
He was brilliant. There was Gavin Campbell as well. Gavin Campbell was on there for a few years, and he played the motorcycle policeman in Mutiny on the Buses.
Oh yes.
Actually, it was on the original On the Buses, the On the Buses film, and they tried to take a double. They sent the lady drivers on diversion up the M1, and he starred as the motorcycle policeman.
And do you know what? That happened in a film called Mike Bassett England Manager, where the bus, the Victory bus for Norwich City went the wrong way and ended up on the motorway. And that was very funny because I was in that film and I was an extra in that film and I had to chase after that bus.
Wow.
I was in a short film recently. I've got a friend who's
Oh, you were filming last week, weren't you? Tell us about it.
Mental health advocate and filmmaker, and it's all based on lived experience as well in her family. And it's called A Day in the Life of an Eating Disorder, and it's done very tastefully. And a lot of humour is used, but not in a crass way. It's a very kind of educational way. But my co-presenter on Radio Jackie, I pulled a beautiful wind up on her because I kept teasing her on air on Jackie because we were playing husband and wife. And I kept teasing her about there being a love scene. And she's like, no, there is no love scene. There is not a love scene. I said, there is. They've written one in especially. They feel it's necessary to show, the love between the... no, there is no love scene. So anyway, we've got the director in on it and he just walked up to her and he went, have you seen you're right with the new scene? We've written it in. You've got most of your clothes on, and just for a second, her face.
Oh, poor Nikki.
And then I got slapped, and
Good.
Something was said to me in robust Anglo-Saxon.
Yes, I can imagine. Speaking of things being said, Asa Don Brown says, my name has been mispronounced more than once on air. Just imagine. I can imagine how it's been mispronounced. And hello, Philip Harling, who says he's F-flat today because he's very late. We don't mind at all. Thank you for dropping in, Philip.
You've missed a whole... I just wonder, back to legislation, how many of us accidentally break the law every day with no intention of doing it because we don't know some law? There must be so many laws on the books. Are they all
Yes,
enforced?
indeed, and this is it. The laws of statute, and the trouble is that we do, in theory, know about these laws because the government has an obligation. Whether it's the central government or whether it's a local authority, they do have an obligation to first of all consult on a law, vote on a law, and then bring that law onto the statute book by royal assent. So, although that last bit is largely ceremonial, it's then sent to the monarch. We currently have a king. To say, yes, that's fine to put into law. But there has to be a whole process of announcements and various consultation. So, for example, the things we hear about often in the news is, there's controversy over the expansion of Heathrow Airport or building homes on so-called green belt land as opposed to brownfield sites. And there's various bits of legislation around that. But the local authority, if they want to give the go-ahead, or if a developer applies for planning permission to build on greenbelt land, the local authorities then have to publish the fact that this developer has asked to do this. And residents in the area have, usually at least 6 weeks to sort of say, actually, I don't want that, or that's not very good, and voicing their objections. Say it's something as simple as, say, your next door neighbour wants to build an extension on their house. Your local council is obliged to write to you and say, your next door neighbour wants to build an extension. If you want to object to it, here are the details to do so. But the trouble is, and particularly the further up the chain you go, so central government, we're about to have the state opening of Parliament, and they'll announce a whole load of laws they want to pass. Can you say to me, with all honesty, either of you boys, that you would remember everything that was said in the King's speech that's coming up? And then, in, say, a year's time or a couple of years' time, I remember that because King Charles said on this soggy wet day in October that this was going to come into being. We don't. But so harking back to something Kimmy was saying earlier is that, yes, we are informed about it, but it's whether we are following those places that are informing us. I mean, the BBC, as the state broadcaster, they have to publish these sorts of things. So you'll find things on their website and stuff. If you don't hear it on the radio, it'll be on the website, but it has been published by the BBC. So arguably, people have been told about it. It's just the means by which people get information these days, which is so vast as well.
And not always good sources sometimes.
No, exactly. And interestingly, last week I gave a talk at a Rotary Club, and I'm fairly certain that most of the audience were a lot older than me, but actually all the questions afterwards were very interesting. And one of them sort of touched on that why does the BBC say this, that, and the other, and why do people say it's biased? And it's like, well, actually, it depends what you listen to or how you get your information, because news can change in a second. And that was the title of my talk. It was broadcast journalism in the 21st second, as opposed to a play on words, as opposed to the 21st century, because things change that fast. Going back to the flooding again, we had news being updated this time last week every couple of minutes, whether it was another school closure or another road closure or something like that, or a new piece of flooding that was coming in. And, I was working in conjunction with my news editor. I'm reading out the bulletins. He's updating them up to, a minute before my live bulletins. Things change so fast. It's easy to blink and you miss it, as it were, whether it's legislation or whether there are road closures.
Any flooding up where you are, Scotty?
Actually, the well-known landlocked Wolverhampton has suffered quite a lot with the flooding. I think most of it is where we've got a lot of roads that haven't been treated properly. It just feels like we've got so many potholes around here, and not just Wolverhampton, but Black Country in the West Midlands especially. And we just don't have the repairs done as quickly as possible to manage the deluge of water. And even to the point now where some of the roads that you would think would be completely void of any kind of water or blockages are the ones that people have been stopped. I mean, buses have been diverted. I mean, even the trains in Wolverhampton were replaced by buses because of flooding on the line. It's just,
Yes, there's been that in Bedfordshire as well.
I don't understand how we as a nation, knowing that we are one of probably the wettest countries on the planet when it comes to rain, we haven't.
Do you know what?
Diversified.
Actually, we're not. Do you know where's the wettest place on the planet? India.
Is it?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Has more rain per millimetre, centimetre, however you're going to measure it, inches, feet, than any other place in the world. But then if you stop and think about it, when they have rain, boy, do they have rain. We have rain. We have torrential rain. They have monsoons, and it's a whole season. You know, we complain about a week's worth of rain in a month or something, or a month's worth of rain in a week. But they have monsoon seasons. So they have basically 3 months where it's just lashing it down with rain. So count yourself lucky. Count your chickens.
We'll do before midnight.
Yes.
What law would you like to see brought in? Because I know America has a lot of. I mean, Ace and Brown said jaywalking is one of the most common laws broken in Canada and the States. I mean,
do we all know what? I don't want to patronise, but do we all know what jaywalking is?
I think so.
You think so? Go on then.
It's crossing the road halfway and then walking down the middle of the road till you get space.
Well, yes and no, not really. It's more about crossing somewhere that's not by a proper crossing. Particularly in the United States, you're expected to cross as a person, as a pedestrian. You're expected to cross at a designated crossing, whether it's a particular, zebra crossing, we might call it here, or traffic light crossing or that sort of thing. Whereas it's not so clear cut over here because you get people wandering across the road in all fashions. But it is actually against the law to cross the road, even if it's not a designated crossing.
So what's the penalty for jaywalking? Is there one?
I don't know. Perhaps Asa can tell us.
Yeah.
What the penalty is.
Okay.
Building on floodplains. We've got a couple of comments on that.
Kimmy Lashmar, agree, Scotty. Building on floodplains, even tarmac driveways, disturbs the water table. I'd like a law brought in about polluted rivers. I'll tell you who's doing an awful lot of work for the environment at the moment is Fergal Sharkey, as in the pop star of the 80s. Him.
Yes.
He's got a good heart.
Good heart. Listen to your father. What's the other one? You Little Thief. They were his big ones, weren't they? And then he went up into Ofcom. Did you know this, Scott? He was part of Ofcom for a while.
Yeah, he was the radio authority. Then we went and left when it became Ofcom, and now he's.
I think he's with the Canal and River Trust or something like that.
Yeah.
Now he's doing an awful lot of campaigning.
Yes.
And I heard some of the stuff he was doing, and I had to agree with him. You know what I mean? Just chucking stuff in rivers is not a good idea. Liz, right on. It's illegal to cross the street, but rare to receive a fine. Although I've known people to receive fines. Interesting.
According to Dr. Google, that the maximum fine typically for violating jaywalking, depending on the jurisdiction, whether it's an infraction or a misdemeanor, they can fine you up to $250. In many jurisdictions, fines will increase, and repeated jaywalking offences can result in imprisonment.
Yes.
Wow.
You can go to prison for jaywalking.
Well, not your first offence, obviously. It says repeated offenders.
Yeah, all the same. It's a bit much.
Well, yeah. I mean, I never mind prison. I'd probably send someone back to school if you don't know where to cross the street by then.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Just going back to something Kimmy touched on.
An infraction is less than a misdemeanor, which is less than a felony. I've got that right, haven't I? Infraction is like a parking ticket kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got
misdemeanors, like a traffic offence, and then you've got a felony's a proper crime, and that's it. Oh, at least Kimmy agrees with me. Look, that time somebody did agree. Scotty, building on floodplains, even tarmac driveways, disturb the water table. I'd like a law brought in about polluted rivers. Absolutely agree with you.
Well, I tell you what's interesting about this, and going back to what we were saying about, why don't we know about all these laws? There is actually already a law about polluted rivers. And very famously, Thames Water in the last few months have been fined because of pollution in the rivers. Water companies in this country, they are only meant to dispose of a certain amount of waste in our waterways, and they have to get permission for it, and they have to go through all sorts of rigmarole with the local authorities. And if they exceed the amount of waste that they dispose of and not in the correct way, then they can be fined, and they have been fined. So if you look up, Kimmy, Thames Water and polluting fine, you will find that that's something that already exists. And I suppose Thames Water this year is a very big example. There's also slightly differently, people can be fined for fly tipping. So if you fly tip in a river, which is also a way of polluting the river, you know, if you're caught doing it, you can be fined for that as well. So there are those laws in place. But again, it's about knowing. We're not expected to know every single law that's on the statute book and every single law in the country. And the laws change quite a lot. And some are highlighted more than others.
And they vary depending on where you are in the country as well. So it's impossible to know.
Yes, those are local bylaws, you see, as well.
It would seem silly to, is that the right words? It would seem... I lost my train of thought for a second there, sorry. But it would seem obvious, that's it, not to throw things, not to chuck things in. And also, there's a limit of what can be disposed of. Why should anything be disposed in the rivers? Who came up with the idea?
Is it? You say it's logical. Why would you throw anything into a river other than some water, maybe, or some flowers, maybe? But people do. And, you know, not everybody has a use of logic or has a logical brain, or, you know, some people might do it for a laugh. Some people might be drunk and think, oh yes, I'll throw this trolley into the river. You know, who knows why people do these things.
The amount of shopping trolleys I see in rivers, I never really understood that.
Kimmy, thank you. She says it's been lovely having this chat. Great team, thanks for being there. You're very welcome, Kimmy.
Thank you, Kimmy, and thank you for your kind words earlier. That's very much appreciated. And back at you. On Wednesday, I'm going to be co-presenting with Emily Kate Owen, who's guested on the show before, and
excellent,
and an interior designer called Juliet.
Oh, very nice.
So we're talking interior design. Love this. I love your relaxed shows. They aren't overly serious, but they're almost always informative. Thank you, Asa.
Thank you very much, Asa. That's very kind of you as well. So what I want to know about this interior designer, I'm very intrigued and amused that you have invited an interior designer onto your show, mainly because of what your cousin David keeps threatening to do with your hallway in terms of interior design.
And what he's threatening to do, because my house needs a bit of redecoration, he's threatening to force my hand, and he's going to do that by painting penis symbols all over the wall until I paint them over, which would probably force my hand, although I might open some sort of theme park and invite people to come around my embarrassing house. That might be another way of...
Yes. He nicknamed, and he said that, you know, you could invite other people round to paint peni on your wall in the hallway, and call it a penis and paint party.
Now, we seem to have lost Scotty. Thank you so much for being on, Scotty. I didn't take you off, so he obviously disappeared off. So,
might have dropped out with the signal, so yes.
Yeah, but thank you so much for being on. Anything you want to share before we go, Liz?
No, I don't think so. It's still quite wet and miserable. I'm actually tonight. I seem to be out and about quite a lot at the moment. And actually, I had a dilemma because the BBC, as I mentioned before, across local radio, there are 39 BBC local radio stations. They host something called the Make a Difference Awards. Yeah. They're in their 4th year. And basically, it flags up local heroes in the community. We invite people in the community and in each of our local broadcast areas to nominate people who've made a difference in their communities. And for the first time this year, we've had an animal category, so an animal that's made a difference. And it's all very wonderful and it's lovely, and it's a good opportunity for each of the local BBC radio stations all over England to meet some of their audience, but also to give something back as well. We have an awards and everything.
What animal is it? Is it a dog? It must be a dog. No,
it can be any animal, any one you like. So dog,
so we don't know which one won yet.
People nominate it. There was one that said, for example, I did the one it was a local animal shelter that was nominated in one category, you see. So it's the animals that won that, or you can have an assistance dog nominated or something. You could have a chicken if you wanted as well, you know.
But don't forget to register it. And
Well, no, exactly. But I've got another BBC Make a Difference Awards tonight. So that's going to be very exciting, meeting some people who've made a difference in Sussex and Surrey. So that's happening tonight. That's what I'm up to. And I'm having a dress dilemma because I've been to that many outings and award ceremonies and given talks and things. And people have obviously put the pictures up online. And I sort of thinking, gosh, I've got to find something else to wear because otherwise people will think I wear the same clothes all the time. I've never had that dilemma.
First world problems.
I know.
So I'll see you Wednesday with Emily Kate and Juliet, and Russ and the gang will be back on Friday. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Scotty. Hope you enjoyed the show. And
You're very
enjoy the
welcome.
rest of your day. All the best.
See you
Bye for
soon.
now.
Bye.